It is our pleasure to welcome you here to our webinar entitled Digital Engagement and Empowerment. Digital engagement and empowerment is for teachers. It aims to foster the development of critical thinking, evaluation skills, sharing media and information online, as well as engagement with different cultures and contents. It also helps people use technology and social media to speak positive change and better opportunities for themselves, the communities, and the world. This webinar is organized by the Digital Learners Project of the ILCDB, or the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, in partnership with Facebook Digital Tayo and AHA Behavioral Designs. I am Cali Bermillo of the Digital Learners Project, and I will be the course officer, for today's webinar. May I call on Miss Joanna De Leon of the Digital Learners Project to give her opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone, especially our dear participants, our beneficiaries, and our people who have joined in Facebook. Thank you so much. And also, we are grateful that everyone is here today. I hope that everyone is in good health and in good condition. And also, on behalf of of our department of the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau, or the ILCDB, of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, it is my pleasure to welcome you in this webinar. Thank you for making your time out of your busy schedule. And also, as you know, this webinar is actually part of the objectives of the Digital Learners Project of our department. And the purpose of this is to provide accessible ICT education trainings for learners, teachers, non-teaching staff, and even government employees nationwide. And also the main goal is to provide trainings on cyber safe practices and cybersecurity awareness. And also, so far this webinar, we hope that you will be able to learn about how to keep your private information safe online and privacy accounts for your own protection. We also hope that you will learn to think critically and of course, how to be responsible netizens in general. And I am sure that you will learn a lot from the knowledge that you will be gaining here today, shared by our resource speaker. Again, on behalf of the ILCDP, we hope that today is going to be another day full of learning for all of you. And good luck and welcome again and have fun learning. Back to you, Ms. Cali.
Thank you, Miss Joanna De Leon, for those wonderful opening remarks and for your timeless beauty. To give us an overview of the project and be able to understand the project better, let us all watch the video.
Welcome to CyberSafe Learning for Education project. Before we go to our training session, we, the CyberSafe Learning for Education project team of the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, would like to give a short talk of our project. I am Eileen Parado, Project Development Officer of the ICT ILCDB. To start, the DICT is responsible for the planning, development, and promotion of the country's information and communications technology agenda, and it upholds its mandate to develop standards and mechanisms for the protection of children online. Within the DICT is the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau, or ILCDB, that implements ICT literacy programs. With this, the CyberSafe Learning for Education project was developed to address the urgent need for online access in education while protecting the learners. As an overview, the project aims to promote a safe learning environment for learners in the cyber realm through the use of contents provided by DICT and their partners. The target audience are not just the learners, but includes the teachers and parents who will also receive training to help us reach our main goal, which is to protect users from harm while using the internet. These are the specific objectives of the project. First is to utilize and magnify the wider reach of the project for everyone. Next is to enhance the use of ICT for the improvement of cyber education. Third is to promote digital literacy by building the knowledge of learners, teachers, and education leaders. Next is to develop and promote the adoption of cyber-safe learning practices. Next is to deliver cyber-safe learning content to promote awareness on the issues. And finally, to ensure that ICT in schools is used mainly for education purposes. What we do in the project. There are two major activities being conducted in the project: the deployment of devices and the provision of online courses in cyber safety and hygiene. For the deployment, the DICT through the ILCDB deploy devices, laptops, and tablets to different LGUs, public schools, government agencies, and other partner institutions. This is to provide means to continue with education, learning, government services, as well as knowledge and capacity building of the nation despite the new normal situation. Aside from gadget deployment, the project also offers ICT courses and related contents to device recipients, as well as other interested individuals to increase awareness on cyber threats, cybersecurity, and hygiene. This is using different platforms developed by partners of the ICT. These online courses were made possible in partnership with different private and public institutions, such as University of the Philippines College of Education, Buri Technology Incorporated through CAST Learning Management System, Cisco Networking Academy, Stairway Foundation Incorporated, Digital Tayo from Facebook and AHA Behavioral Design, Microsoft, and Go Philippines. So that's for a quick introduction on the CyberSafe Learning for Education project of the DICT ILCDB. If you have any question, feel free to reach us at cybersafe@dict.gov.ph. Thank you and happy learning to all.
And here is a short introductory video on privacy and security from Facebook Digital Tayo. Watch this video and learn about tips on how to always keep your digital experience safe and secure, or be fully informed on the right kind of information.
Ngayon na mas marami ng tao ang online, dapat doble ang ingat natin sa pag-post ng ating impormasyon. So, paano nga ba natin mapapanatiling safe at secure ang social media experience natin sa panahon ng COVID-19? Well, narito ang ilan sa mga tips kung paano mo magagawa to. Hi guys, my name is Jello, ang inyong Digital Tayo Trainer. Itanong ako, aware ba kayo sa mga sikat na online scam ngayong COVID-19 pandemic? Ayon sa huling report na nilabas ng National Bureau of Investigation o NBI at Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas o BSP, tumaas ang kaso ng mga phishing at scams nitong quarantine. Ilan sa mga nabibiktima ay nakapagbigay na ng personal information gaya ng bank accounts o passwords sa inaakalang secured ang website o link. Sapat na detalye na ito para ma-access ang inyong online accounts, pati na rin ang pera sa bangko. Paano nga ba maiiwasang mabiktima sa mga to? Unang-una ang pagiging aware. Pag aware na tayo sa mga scam na to, mas magiging maingat at mapanuring na tayo online. Umpisahan natin sa phishing. Nangyayari ang phishing kapag may kahina-hinalang account na hihingin ang inyong detalye tulad ng username at password at gagamitin niya to para ma-access ang personal information at ang personal account nyo. Paano ba natin ito maiiwasan? Iwasang sagutin ang mga email o chat na naglalayong kunin ang inyong password at iba pang personal information. So kung may kahina-hinalang email o chat, huwag agad itong pindutin. Kahit na galing pa sa bangko o sa kilalang ahensya, ugaliin na lang na tumawag na lang sa kanila para ma-verify nyo kung lehitimo ang mensahe na natanggap. Ang money theft ay ang paghingi, paggaya o pag-hack ng account upang makakuha ng personal information at ma-access ang pera ng biktima o ng mga kakilala niya. Paano ito may iwasan? Maging maingat at mapanuri tayo kapag nagbibigay ng personal or financial information. So, posible bang manakaw ang identity? Oo, kadalasang ginagawa ito online. Ang tawag naman dito ay identity theft. So may mga masasamang loob dyan na nagpapanggap bilang otorisadong ahensya, negosyo, organisasyon para makakuha ng personal information sa kanilang biktima. Paano natin ito maiiwasan? Protektahan ang inyong digital identity. Ibig sabihin, kailangan nyong kontrolin ang lahat ng impormasyon na nilalabas nyo online. Maraming paraan para makakuha ng detalye itong mga masasamang loob na to. Pero kung kontrolado natin ang lahat ng detalye na nilalabas natin, mas magiging safe tayo. Ano-ano ang mga hindi dapat public o i-share? Address, impormasyon ng bangko, buong pangalan, mobile number, at ang iba pang pribadong impormasyon na hindi dapat i-share online. Pwede rin natin gamitin ang mga tools sa Facebook para kontrolin kung sino ang makakita ng impormasyon ninyo online. I-secure ang account. Una sa lahat, dapat ikaw lang ang nakakaalam ng password. Ikaw rin ang may control kung ano ang magiging password mo, so mabuti nang gawin natin tong unique o kakaiba. Huwag natin gawing parang madaling hulaan para hindi ito mabuksan ng iba. Ilang tips para ma-achieve ang strong password. Dapat ito ay may capital letter, small letter, special character, at number. Gamitin din ang privacy check-up para makontrol mo kung sino ang nakakakita sa mga posts mo, ma-review ang mga impormasyon sa profile mo, at ma-review rin ang mga login history sa ibang gadgets at apps. See? Maraming pwedeng paraan para maprotektahan ang sarili online. Gamitin na ang oras natin ngayon para mag-explore sa mga bagay na pwedeng magawa upang maprotektahan ang sarili natin online. Sa ganitong paraan, may iwasan natin ang mga mapagsamantala, gaya ng gumagawa ng mga scam, phishing, o kahit ano pang banta sa ating seguridad online. Maging bahagi ng pagpapanatili ng safe na digital environment. Abangan ang mga susunod na webinar at sabay-sabay tayong maging responsableng digital citizen sa panahon ngayon. Stay healthy and safe! Para sa karagdagang impormasyon tungkol sa digital literacy, maaaring pumunta sa www.digitaltayo.fb.com at sa Facebook COVID-19 Information Center.
Now, the moment you've been waiting for, our resource speaker. He is an advocate of education through continuous development in different private organizations, NGOs, and government agencies. He is a learning and development professional with over 3 years of work experience in analyzing, designing, implementing, and evaluating different learning interventions. He is also a career coach who guides job seekers to get the right work. He likes helping people, and that is why he is in these fields. Without further ado, let me introduce our resource person for today. Let us all give a clap emoji to Mr. Rafael Lopez, also known as Sir Raf, our resource person.
Maraming salamat po, Miss Kali. And of course, isang maganda at mapagpalang araw po sa atin lahat. There you go. I'm happy that our teachers from all over the Philippines are very active sa ating reaction, sa chat function, and wherever. So I'm sure we'll have an interactive session today. So anyway, allow me to share my screen right now. So sharing it, okay. I'd like to focus on ilan words ba yun? 3 words that was said a while ago. Si Jello ata yun. Sabi ni Jello that we all want to be responsible digital citizens. Responsible digital citizens. And yung target po natin ngayong araw na to is going beyond our own, comfort zone, if you could say, our personal selves sa pagiging responsible digital citizens. Ang iniisip na natin dito sa ating topic on digital engagement and of course empowerment is for you to also think about other people. Because as teachers, I know that you are using social media platforms, especially now. I've been talking to or I've been facilitating some sessions with teachers from different regions sa ating bansa and alam ko po kung gaano ka-importante ang paggamit ng social media mas lalo na ngayon na nalulungkot at siguro na natutuwa rin ako kung gaano ka-innovative ang ating mga guro kung paano nila gamitin ang social media sa pag-i-implement ng mga modules, ng mga lessons so that their students will be able to learn despite the pandemic. So we're going to make sure that you use social media well. Because as responsible digital citizens, as responsible digital teachers, alam po natin na marami po tayong pwedeng gawin. Mas lalo na po ngayong pretty much lahat na ng bagay nakatanim na talaga sa ating internet. So let's start with digital engagement. But before anything else, syempre, bigyan muna natin ng konting explanation or konting definition ang responsible digital citizen. Ang gusto po natin dito sa behavioral design, dito sa digital tayo, ay makapaggawa or not makapaggawa, to build a community of responsible digital citizens who are aware, who can educate, and become leaders themselves. So we have two topics. The first one is, of course, digital engagement, and the second one is on digital empowerment. So bigyan natin ng konting overview ito. So sa digital engagement, sasagutin natin yung dalawang katanungan na nakikita natin sa screen. What is positive online engagement and why does it matter? And number two, how do we maintain positive online relationships? So that's as simple as that. These two questions will hihimayin natin yung mga katanungan na to para makita po natin ano nga ba, how do we engage online as responsible digital citizens. Of course, dito din sa digital engagement, we will look at information verification. There are 3 bullet points na sasagutin natin. Number 1, what is verification? Why is it important? Number 2, what do we verify or how do we verify information and what do we do with false information? So atong limang question na to ang sasagutin natin ngayong araw na to. I know it's quite a lot and that's just the first topic, but we'll make sure it's very interactive and we will make sure that our dear teachers from all over the Philippines, mostly from NCR if I'm not mistaken, but also from other regions will have time to reflect and understand what we are talking about. And let's answer the first question. What is positive online engagement and why does it matter? We first have to understand ano nga ba itong positive online engagement? Kanina ka pa nagsasalita tungkol sa positive online engagement pero hindi mo pa dinidefine. Bakit namin to papakinggan? Bakit namin to bibigyan ng oras para pakinggan? Importante ba siya? Those are the questions that we would want to answer and of course, we will answer it all together. So let's look at it first sa screen natin. We have a situation here. So what we have to do is you will have to answer how you would react to the following situation. So you could use the thumbs or the emoticons or the emojis sa chat function, or you could use the reaction function and me read it right now. Gabby was at lunch with her friends, but when she ran to the bathroom, she left her phone on the table. While she was gone, her friend Castel grabbed Gabby's phone and started looking through her text. If you were in that situation, if nakikita mo si Castel, nandyan sa situation na yan, ano ang inyong magiging reaction? Feels nice, feels awesome, feels sad. So let's see. Kita po natin dito sa chat function natin sa Zoom. A lot of us are reacting with the sad emoji. Si John, si Alvin, and a lot more. Yung iba nga galit eh. Si Ria galit na yung tinype niya. So that's a good, that's a reaction that you might have, you might see, especially if we see this or we interact with these kinds of people. And nakikita rin po natin dito sa chat function naman natin or sa comment section natin sa Facebook si Maru, si Maria, si Lori na nag-react rin po sa ating situation. Definitely we won't feel nice about it. Hindi natin mararamdaman yung pagiging awesome about it. Of course, we'll feel sad about it. And iba nga sa atin nagagalit patungkol dito. And later on, we'll connect this with us in the digital space. Kasi kanya-kanya naman po tayong mga reactions. But of course, connecting it again to our digital space later on. So ngayon, kita naman po natin na may iba't iba po tayo mga mararamdaman, makikita na reaction in terms of this kind of situation. And despite this, may certain trend tayo nakikita. Lahat tayo negatively ang pagtingin sa ating sa ugali or sa behavior na pinakita ni Castel. And that's something that we have to be worried about, not just when we're in person. Kahit dapat tayo ay nasa digital space, dapat worry tayo doon. Kasi despite us being or having a screen in front of us, we're still talking to people. So yun kasi minsan nakakalimutan natin eh. Bilang mga citizens or digital citizens, we tend to forget that there is another person on the other side of the screen, and we forget that they are human too, and we forget as well that our reaction when we are with the same people is different than our reaction when we are online. So dapat wala. Dapat walang pagkakaiba. Kasi ang positive online engagement is basically a way for us to be respectful and empathetic. Respectful and empathetic. Respectful and empathetic in ways that we interact with different people in the digital space. So despite us being in Zoom, despite us being here on our Facebook Live, dapat pare-parehas rin tayo kung paano tayo makikipag-interact when we are in the classroom. There shouldn't be a difference. Even though we don't know the people we are talking to online, we should still be empathetic and respectful. Empathetic and respectful. So ngayon, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Because practicing positive online engagement helps us build a community of responsible digital citizens. Ngayon, tayo mismo, empathetic, respectful. Pero yung ibang tao hindi empathetic at respectful. So of course, as digital citizens and of course you as teachers, we want to make sure that other people too are responsible digital citizens. Kaya po tayo or kaya importante to. We saw the worst. Sige, worst lang. Sabihin worst. We saw the worst of not becoming or the opposite of becoming responsible digital citizens during the previous mga ganap. Hindi ko na idadrop kung ano man yung ganap na yun. Yung mga ganap natin, mga nakalipas na buwan. And kita naman natin kung ano ang mga epekto nito not only in the national level, not only in the community level, but also in our family, in our personal level. So that's why it's important for us to become or to continue to promote becoming responsible digital citizens because we are in the age where we tend to leave behind respect and empathy. So to do this, syempre kailangan natin ng tatlong mga bagay. 3 tools in order for us to become responsible digital citizens. Number 1, 2, and 3 are the following. Know and understand boundaries, give respect, and show empathy. Actually, as I was reflecting a while ago, thinking about how I could fit this sa inyong mga guro, sabi ko, hindi ko na kailangan ito ituro. Kasi kayong mga guro are actually the ones who teach this to other people. You teachers know how to become or to understand and know boundaries. You teachers show respect to your students and you expect the same towards yourself. And you show empathy. So, paano ko pa ito ituturo sa mga teachers na araw-araw? Ito rin naman yung ginagawa. But of course, naisip ko rin na it's still different. It's still different in many sense. Kasi ang mga guro, iba-iba rin ang mga what do you call this, realities. We have different realities. Some of us are coming from Metro Manila. Some of us are coming from Cordillera. Some of us are coming from I'm trying to remember kung saan yung mga cities na nakita ko kanina. But basically, We have Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao at iba-iba po ang realities natin dito and different ways on how we practice boundaries, we show respect, and we feel or show or make others feel empathy. So let's look at it while still having the teacher's hat. Dapat on top of the teacher's hat, dapat meron kang um, digital citizen hat on top of that. Because you as teachers have that hat with you regardless if you're using it or you're using social media for your profession while interacting with your students, with the parents or with the administrators, or you're interacting with your friends, family, loved ones. So regardless if which hat you have on, teacher hat man yan or yung personal hat man yan, meron ka pang on top of that na responsible digital citizen hat na kailangan natin gamitin despite what role we are handling as of the moment. So tingnan natin. Isa-isahin natin ito, know and understand your boundaries, give respect, and show empathy. So number one, know and understand boundaries. This is easy. As teachers, I understand that sometimes personal life and your life as a teacher intertwines. So kumbaga nawawala ni yung linya between personal at saka professional. And that's something that we have to understand, especially when we're using social media as well to communicate with our students. Kasi boundaries can be defined as the limits we set with people, which indicate what we find acceptable and unacceptable in their behavior towards us. And that's tricky. Come to think about it. Actually, ngayon lang ako nakapag-reflect. Come to think of it. It's quite tricky for teachers to do that, especially when you're using your own social media platforms to interact with your students. Ako po, naabutan ko ng social media being used for school when I was in college. So college na ako. And we do have interactions with our college professors or college lecturers on social media. But meron tayong understanding na pag tayo ay nasa social media na, since college na kami, wala na yung boundary between, or meron pa rin respect, pero wala na yung boundary na, teacher ako, period. But I understand that sometimes we have to set these boundaries. So set this as teachers, especially as teachers. Set this to ensure that walang linya mahahakbangan na hindi dapat hakbangan. So make sure that you draw the line between yourselves and social media, especially if you're using it to interact with your students. So know and understand your boundaries. Number two, give respect. Giving respect is basically showing consideration of another person's feelings, ideas, standards, needs, preferences, uniqueness, particularities, and their property. So for example, showing respect online means not resorting to rude or offensive comments even if you disagree with someone. So this is basically making sure and remembering na tao yung kausap mo sa kabilang screen. Na despite na naasar ka na, despite na naiirita ka na sa mga sinasabi niya, despite na paulit-ulit na lang ang sinasabi mo, you still make sure that you are showing respect. You are showing consideration of other people's feelings, ideas, standards, needs, preferences, uniqueness, particularities, and other properties. So, alalahanin natin na with a little bit of respect comes a long way. And with a little bit of respect shown, goes a little bit further. Kasi pag pinakita mo yung respect, pag sinarili mo yung respect, syempre okay na yun. Pero pag pinakita mo yung respect sa ibang tao, that shows or that affects other people who you are responding to and also who reads the post that you are sharing. So make sure that you don't resort to sorry, hindi ko alam kung paano siya i-pronounce. Bardagaluhan, something like that. Yes, uso siya, but it's not something that we have to practice or we should practice. Because at the end of the day, hindi naman tayo pare-parehas na nararamdaman. And importante that we show empathy. Because showing empathy is our ability to feel what other people are feeling or experiencing from the point of view of that person. For example, not humiliating someone online through uncompromising photos or videos. Uso to dati. Uso dati na, kunwari nasa comp shop ka, kunwari magkakaibigan kayo, tapos iniwan mong nakabukas yung laptop mo, and then magpo-post yung tao ng kung ano-ano, or your friend kung ano-ano sa social media. And nangyari yun sa akin. I was in my, I don't know, nasa school kami noon. And then, nung nasa school kami, I left my Facebook profile open. So, hindi ko pinansin. Iniwan ko lang siya kasi babalik din naman ako. Tapos, biglang may sunod-sunod na notification sa akin. I did not know that someone posted something on social media. Sa akin, harmless siya. So, the people who did that may not have seen anything wrong about it. And I myself did not see anything wrong about it. Pero ang daming nag-react. Nang daming nakakaba, nag-worry, naisip na, oh my gosh, ano na nangyari kay Raf? And I think empathy goes beyond the person that you are talking to. Empathy goes now, especially now on social media. Empathy should also think about other people in your community. Kasi hindi lang yung taong kausap mo or hindi lang yung taong you're interacting with is being affected by what you are doing. So remember empathy. So yes, we defined empathy as our ability to feel what other people are feeling. But we go beyond just the other people that we are interacting with. We move forward with understanding what other people or what people seeing your post, seeing your comment would feel about it. And babalik tayo sa pagkakaroon ng respect kung paano natin sasabihin at babalik din tayo sa pag-iintindi. Ano nga ba yung boundaries ko sa paggagamit ng social media? Am I using social media or am I commenting here as someone who knows my boundaries or someone who understands the boundaries of who I'm talking to? And when I understand this, am I showing respect in my interactions with them? And at the end of the day, malalaman natin to kung trinay natin ilagay ang ating sarili sa pwesto ng taong kausap natin. How we show empathy. I think it's important to give emphasis to all of these three. Because babalik ako dun sa experience natin nung nakaraang national events na nagkaroon tayo ng quite a big divide between opposing parties, opposing beliefs. And we tend to forget that people are still people. And our screens, who we are talking to online, are still people. So don't forget about that. So now that we know how to practice becoming a responsible digital citizen, now we have to ask ourselves, how do we maintain positive online relationships? Kasi syempre, when we are online, kunwari sa Facebook pa lang, friends nga ang tawag natin sa mga kasama natin sa Facebook eh. Hindi naman yan acquaintances, hindi naman sinabi mga kapamilya, kabarkada, friends. So when we are on social media, we have to maintain positive online relationships. So how do we do this? Basically, we have to understand that positive online relationship or positive relationships equals healthy relationships. When we engage online with respect, with empathy, we understand the boundaries, we build positive relationships. And when you look at it in a bigger perspective, if our behavior or the other perspective, if our behaviors does not show respect and empathy and understanding boundary, paano kaya ang magiging reaction ng mga tao online? Paano kaya maapektuhan ang relationships natin with them? So let's have another activity. Just put a thumbs up if you think, well, so let's look at the different kinds of behaviors that we see online. So magbabasa ako ng behavior and you tell me if it's a good or a bad behavior. You could put a thumbs up or thumbs down or a negative reaction and a positive reaction if you think it is good or bad. So wait for me to read it and then you react. So positive online relationships. Let's look at different behaviors. So let me highlight the first behavior that we will look at and read. First behavior that you will read. First one. This was shared with you a while ago by Cello. Exchanging social media passwords. Is this good or bad? Is this good or bad? Alright, a lot of thumbs down. A lot 4, 5, 7 thumbs down ang nagre-react. And a lot more sa chat function na nagta-thumbs down. Dito rin po sa ating Facebook Live, si AD sabi niya thumbs down rin. Alright, 12 thumbs down. So obviously, this is not a good one because ang social media passwords ay para sa atin lamang. Di po natin to sinishare sa ibang tao. Now, let's look at the next one. Okay. So, reading your friend's text messages without their permission. Is this a thumbs down or thumbs up? A lot of thumbs down. Nakikita ko rin po sa Facebook Live natin. Ang dami rin nagta-thumbs down. Alright, 10 so far ang mga nagta-thumbs down. Thank you so much. Definitely, this is a no-no. Understanding boundaries is also part of this. Now, punta tayo sa susunod. Ito medyo tricky. Honestly, para sa akin, medyo tricky to. Messaging your partner. Your partner may be your friends, your business partner, maybe you're someone in a relationship with 24/7. Thumbs down. Marami pa rin nagta-thumbs down. 12 participants ang nagta-thumbs down. Yung iba rin sa social media natin or sa Facebook Live natin nagta-thumbs down. Sabi ni Erica, yung thinking emoji. Erica sent a thinking emoji. Okay, thumbs down. So, a lot of us ang nagsabi na thumbs down. Pero isa sa atin, or siya lang nakita ko, ang nag-thinking emoji. Because we understand this because sometimes it's different from relationship to relationship. Yung iba sasabihin, medyo toxic naman yan. Yung iba, okay lang yan, masaya yan, at least love niya ako, eme-eme. So it's up to you on how to define the boundaries in your relationships. So it's okay that you're thinking about it first before actually understanding or before answering if it's a good or a bad reaction. Because later on, malalaman natin na hindi lahat ng bagay thumbs up, thumbs down lang. Minsan may mga bagay na kailangan natin pag-isip-isipan. Punta tayo sa next slide. Ito. Tagging your friends in photos from a party. Is this a thumbs up, thumbs down? Dito rin, you're all correct. It depends. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin thumbs up, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin thumbs down. Because sometimes they're not comfortable about sharing these photos to other people. So we have to understand again, boundaries, respect. Paulit-ulit lang tayo sa tatlong na yun. Boundaries, respect, and empathy. So now that we understand that it's not always a thumbs up and a thumbs down, we look at different kinds of behaviors and see which are the things that nadisak ako. Sabi ni Aaron, if wholesome party, thumbs up. If not wholesome or private, thumbs down. So again, it depends on the boundaries. So going back to what I was saying, so tingnan natin, ano ba yung ano ba generally ang thumbs up? Ano ba yung generally thumbs down? Ano ba yung generally kailangan pa natin isipin ng mga behaviors online? So let's answer the question, what we do on, or rather, At the end of the day, what we do online has an impact on our relationships. When we remember respect, empathy, and boundaries, and we use this, it has an impact to our relationships. Kunwari, tag lang tayo ng tag ng tag ng tag sa mga photos ng friends natin na hindi naman pala nila gusto, it will definitely affect our relationships. Kunwari, message tayo ng message na message, nararamdaman na ng tao na sa spam siya. It definitely affects our relationships. So we have to remember boundary, respect, and empathy, and see and understand what are generally accepted, what are generally not accepted, and what are the things that we have to think about. Ano ba yung stop or generally accepted? Ano ba yung go or ano ba yung stop yung generally hindi talaga accepted? Ano ba yung go yung generally accepted ng mga tao? Ano ba yung mga slowdown? Which is generally um we have to think about. So let's start with stop. Snooping. Number one thing that's definitely not accepted is snooping. This is when in some cases this is actually illegal, and basically snooping is reading messages from other people that without their permission, guessing another person's password, posting content on social media using another friend's account and their name are all forms of snooping. So in some cases, snooping is illegal. So that's why it's definitely a stop. Number two, talking to strangers, people you don't know well can, or talking to strangers, people you don't know well online. This is a generally accepted as a no-no. Especially kung nakikita natin or may mga red flags na po tayo nakikita sa profile nila. So, hindi lang po sa relationships ang mga red flags ha. Sa paggagamit rin po ng social media, kailangan po natin tingnan ang mga red flags na to. Number three, posting rude comments or taking an argument publicly. Posting rude comments on social medias or someone's social media post is not a sign of respect and should and could be offensive not only to the one who posted but to all online creatures. Another thing is talking with sorry, talking about an argument with you had with another person in any platforms is also something that you should avoid. So instead of kunwari may for example, you had an argument with a friend in school which you talked between yourselves. And then out of the blue, you decided to bring this on social media. You decided to share this with other people in social media. This might even widen or make it a bigger problem if you bring it to social media. And number three or number four, spreading gossips about someone you know on social media this is a form of bullying. So definitely this is a no-no. Ngayon tingnan naman natin. As you could see here, meron tayong mga generally understood behaviors that are a red or a stop. Definitely a negative attribute that you shouldn't bring on social media. But sometimes we have those that we have to think about. Some things that would differ from relationship to relationships. Kunwari yung overthinking dapat sasabihin ko. Yung over-messaging. Kunwari yung over-messaging, it depends on who you're talking to. You as teachers some of you would have had an experience of over-messaging ng mga students. Alam mo yung mga naghahabol ng mga deadlines, yung mga naghahabol ng mga students sa mga gawain. And we know that as teachers, most of the time, you wouldn't like this. But as in your personal lives, some of you would like to receive lots of messages from your special someone. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your hobby, your asawa nyo. So it depends on the situation. That's why it's a slowdown because you have to think about it. Number two, tagging your friends or sharing photos or videos, you have to get your consents first. Photos shared online are okay, but of course, we have to remember that everyone has their right to privacy. So alalahanin natin na okay lang naman mag-post online. Pero alalahanin natin may mga tao, mas lalo na ang mga estudyante, they have the right to privacy. I forgot what exact law it is, but for minors, we have to ask permission from the parents before posting anything on social media. And that's why it's something to think about first. Consent is important here. Now, posting excerpts from a private conversation. This is for me, kasi since thinking siya, for me, this is definitely a no-no. Mas lalo na kung private conversation siya talaga. Pero again, it says here, ask permission first. I saw here yung suggestion ni Aaron, activate approvals for being tagged. Yes, I also do this. If we have time later on, I'll try to share with you how to activate this on Facebook. Pero if hindi, search nyo na lang po sa settings yung tagging approvals. If I'm not mistaken, yun yung tawag. But yes, I also have this activated. And this is just a barrier for you. Pero syempre, para sa ibang taong itatag mo, you have to ask them first if they want to be tagged. But this is a good suggestion. Now, punta tayo sa definitely a yes or generally accepted behaviors online. This one, show kindness in all your posts, comments, and messages. Protect your personal information. Recognize that other people's opinion will differ from your own. Upstanding for yourselves. So these are behaviors that are generally accepted, that are accepted by people you interact online. And if you ensure that you practice all these four, definitely you are a responsible digital citizen. Now, as you may know, sometimes as much as we are responsible digital citizens, as much as we practice the green or the online engagement stoplight, may mga tao talaga na hindi pa alam ang mga boundaries sa social media, hindi pa masyadong praktisado sa pagpapakita at pagpaparamdam ng respeto at empathy sa ibang tao. So sometimes we have to stand up for other people and stand up for ourselves. Let's look at this and let's maybe try to answer it. Or let's see. If one of your friends approached you and said that he or she is experiencing one of these unhealthy behaviors from someone, would you take action? Kayo ba kung kayo ba ay nakarinig or napagkwentuhan na nagkaroon ng hindi magandang experience ang inyong kaibigan online? Would you do something? Put a yes on the chat function if yes, put an no if no. Same with Facebook Live, pwede nyo kayong sumagot para dito. Sabi ni Alvin, wala daw siyang gagawin. Okay. What about others? Susana, yes daw. What about others? Pwede kayo mag-thumbs up if gusto nyo. It might be easier for you. Okay, Najim. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name. Miss Musa. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, a lot of yeses. Dito sa Facebook Live, kaya may mga nag-yes. Si Ruthie, yes rin daw. Okay, it depends. Sabi ni Mary Joy. Ignore, sabi ni... Sorry, can't see any. It's a green light for others. Okay. Well, it depends. Honestly, for me, it depends on the situation and it depends on what you could do about it. But we encourage you to do something. Personally, it depends about the situation, who's being affected, how grave the situation is, but we encourage you to do something about it. Because at the end of the day, as responsible digital citizens, we want to make sure that any social media platform should be able or should be a safe space. Ulitin ko, as much as possible, any social media platform should be a safe space. Kahit minsan hindi na siya nagiging safe space, tayo mismo dapat gumawa ng paraan para maging safe space siya. And we shouldn't just be bystanders. So bystanders are people who just look, observes, and does nothing about the situation. On the other hand, upstanders are people who does something positively in the response. It may be just comforting the person. It may be reporting what has been done. It may be helping out that person understand what he or she could do, and many other ways. So again, in my personal opinion, we encourage you to do something about negative situation people interact or encounter online. But we encourage you to become upstanders because at the end of the day, we want our social media to be safe spaces for everyone because we have the ability to do something about it. Sa panahon ngayon, sabi nila, kasalanan na yung kasalanan ng magpikit-pikitan. Hindi ko alam kung tamang term yon, pero kasalanan na daw magpikit-pikitan. Yung you see injustice happening in front of your eyes, you see false information being spread, you see people bullying another person, so and so and so, and not doing something about it. Because now we are empowered to become upstanders. Because now we have the ability to do something about it. And we will share with you what these things are or what you could do as upstanders. Let's go to the next slides. At the end of the day, we can all be upstanders. Because by being bystanders, yung titingin-tingin lamang, yung observe-observe lamang, yung sasabihin, hindi naman ako naapektuhan dyan, ba't ko naman yan papansinin? You send a message that that behavior is acceptable, and it's definitely not. And as teachers, and as responsible digital citizens, we encourage you, we share with you, we empower you with the right tools so that you could be upstanders for yourselves and your friends, especially when you see something that makes you uncomfortable or something that hurts other people. Madali, sige, hindi siya madali. Aminado ako, hindi siya madali. Mahirap maging upstander kasi meron tayong tinatawag sa social psychology na bystander effect. Yung sinasabi nila na diffuse daw yung responsibility to do something, especially when you feel or know that other people can do something about it instead of yourself. I forgot it's the bystander effect. But alalahanin natin na despite other people and alalahanin natin other people might be thinking the same thing. And on top of this, it is a better chance for us to do something if we do it all together. And personally, pwede tayong gumawa or pwede tayong maging upstanders and do something for people that are red flags. Pwede tayo mag-unfriend, mag-unfollow, and mag-block. So when you feel that people are not the people we want to interact with, don't want to be friends with, or people who are already harassing us, messaging us and messaging us despite us telling them to stop, we could unfriend. We could definitely unfollow if ayaw natin makita yung mga post na niya. Or we could block. If we block, hindi na natin sila makikita, hindi na nila tayo makaka-interact online. So, be wary about that one. Now, for other people, we could suggest the same thing for them to do, but we could definitely report them. Reporting on social media is our, for the lack of a better term, power. Power to help other people, especially if we know that it goes against the community standards of that specific social media platforms. For example, sa Facebook, bago tayo nakapag-login, not login, bago tayo nakapasok sa Facebook, meron tayong dapat binasa na community standards that helps and guides us on how we could definitely um, helps us be part of the wider community ng Facebook and also know if other people violates these community standards. So we could report as well. And these are the same things that we could do for Instagram. Pwede tayo mag-report, restrict, and block. Pwede rin tayo mag-leave, block, and report in other social media platforms. Now, we've been talking about positive online engagement. We've been talking about becoming responsible digital citizens. And at the end of the day, alalahanin natin na ito ay pagpapakita ng respect and empathy sa ibang mga tao, especially if we are interacting online. And when we engage positively, we understand the boundaries, we show respect, and give empathy to other people. And at the end of the day, when we establish the boundaries, we also think about the online behavior stoplight. We think about if it's something that is generally acceptable, definitely not acceptable, and something to think about. And since we are already empowered with the right tools and the right understanding, we become upstanders. We become upstanders who does something positively in response to something negatively. And it depends on the situation. At kanya-kanyang responses yan. So now that we have an understanding of how we could become responsible digital citizens in terms of engagement, now we share to you more about how we could make sure that our online platforms are safe for everyone by making sure what we read and share are verified. But before we continue, I'd like to maybe take this opportunity to tell you that I'll try to what do you call this? I'll try to leave some time later on for any questions that you may have. But let's continue with what is verification. Nabigyan na natin ng emphasis yung pagiging upstanders. And part of being upstanders is of course standing up for those that are being or experiencing negative um, behaviors from other people. And this includes getting false information, false news. While we ensure positive online engagement by showing respect and empathy to other people, with we engage with, it's not everyone who reciprocates this. May ibang tao na hindi naman sinasadya pero nagsishare sila ng false news. Pero may ibang tao rin na sinasadya talaga at nagsishare ng false news. And as upstanders, we have to make sure that any social media platforms does not have false information. Kasi nakakaloka pag false information na lang ang ating nakakasalamuha online. Sino na nabiktima dito ng hashtag walang pasok? Hashtag walang pasok. Honestly ako, nung college po ako, isang beses na biktima na ako ng hashtag walang pasok. May nabasa ko hashtag walang pasok nung umaga nung klase ko. So, chill na ako, wala na ako iniisip, hindi na ako naligo, hindi na ako nag-breakfast, balik ako tulog. Tapos tinatawagan na ako ng mga kaklase ko, ba't wala daw ako sa school? May pasok pala. Apparently, the hashtag walang pasok that I read was posted a year ago on the same date. So, kumbaga, June 1, 2021 pala pinost. So, that's false news that I believed in. And hindi lang ako o hindi lang yon ang false news na nakakasalamuha natin. Marami pa po tayong false news that we interact each and every day. Sometimes this misleads people. Sometimes this makes people see something on a positive light despite it not being positive talaga. So, itong hashtag walang pasok is just one example. But there are many more things that affects people that brings to or has negative effects to people. Ang mga false information is different from opinions and is different from facts. I don't have a academic definition of false information, but what I could say, sometimes people tend to misinterpret opinions and accept this as news, which in turn makes it a false information. So, us being teachers and on a and as digital citizens, we have to ensure that we verify everything that we digest online. Huwag kayong makaging katulad ni Raf na isang basa lang, maniniwala na hindi na pumasok. So we have to know the verification, what verification is, and how we could use this in our day-to-day life. So basically, verification means checking information so that you can determine if it's false, a fact, or an opinion, or sometimes it may be a rumor. So when you use verification, it helps decrease people being misled by untrue information and the spread of false information. Also, in verification, it helps us identify reliable information from problematic information to ensure safe, healthy online experience for everyone. I'm trying to pull out something because recently I read that hindi na lang siya false news. Recently I read that there's misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. This is coming from American English for Educators. Sabi dito, misinformation is a false or inaccurate information usually not created or shared with harmful intent. So, kumbaga, katulad nung hashtag walang pasok, shinare lang siya, akala nung nag-share, it's for today. Pero apparently, it's not. That's misinformation. Disinformation, on the other hand, is false or inaccurate information deliberately created and shared to cause harm. So, ito yung mga sinishare na news stories to destroy the image of a certain person, to destroy the image of a company, and so and so. So making a quote about a public person, or maybe splicing a video of someone in public official, which is not true. And lastly, there's malinformation. True or accurate information based in reality shared or manipulated with the intent to cause harm. Sharing private data, statistics, and images publicly. So apparently, marami na tayong mga kailangan maging mapanuri. Hindi na lang natin iniisip na false information. Iniisip na natin na meron tayong misinformation, disinformation, at malinformation. Kaya mas lalo nang importante na ngayon ang verification. Because we live in a universe, or we live in a world where information is easily accessible. And as teachers, as responsible digital citizens, we want to upstand for the people who may have may be able to digest this without fact checking or verifying. So let's all become verifiers or fact checkers. Dati ang mga fact checkers yung mga taga ano lang, mga journalists, mga news writers, mga what do you call this, news reporters, but now everyone should be fact checkers. But we have to know how we can verify information. To verify information, there are steps that we could do. We call this the verification steps. The first thing that we have to remember in the verification process is to look at the origin. Next one, check out the source, and then the date, location, and objective. Hindi pwedeng check sa 1, check sa 2, sa 3, hindi check, 4 check, 5 check, tapos biglang okay na yun sa'yo. Dapat from step 1 to step 5, lahat po may check. And this is the verification process. So what are the questions that you have to ask yourself during this process? So step 1, one thing that you have to ask yourself, are you looking at the original piece of content? Are you looking at the original piece of content? Run this first by determining whether or not you are looking at the original piece of content rather than a reproduction. Baka shinare na siya, baka kinopy-paste na siya, baka misinterpreted na siya. So that's why you have to put a check on the origin. Number 2, who created the piece of content? Who created the piece of content? Check nyo yung source sa step 2. As you learned in the previous lesson, every piece of news content has a source, which can be defined as a person, publication, or agency that captured an image or information about the original news. So alalamin natin, ito ba ay first or ito ba ay shared by reliable sources? Are these shared by reliable sources? And reliable sources means people who are known, or news agencies who are known to have had shared real and true information without any biases. Number 3, check out the date. So what you could ask yourself here is, number 3, date. When was the piece of content captured? When was the piece of content captured? Although it can be difficult to identify the date of an image or video was captured or when it was uploaded, news organizations have been criticized even before when this happens. What you could do on social media or on Google, you could actually copy paste the link or the image to the Google search engine and then lalabas yung similar images. So makikita mo baka in-upload na siya dati pa and baka in-upload na siya even before. Or sometimes you could just check out the date. Sometimes it's just posted there. Number 4, location. Where was the piece of content captured? This is easy to understand and know why it is important. Baka naman sa Indonesia, Russia, Belarus, or what other country siya na news. Tapos shinare lang dito, akala mo sa Pilipinas na. And number 5, the most tricky one, check out the objective. Why was the piece of content captured? For this, you have to know or have a deep understanding about the source. Check out the about part of the source. Understand the history of the post of this source. And check out if the objectives of the news article or post is deliberately for misinformation or is just for information. So lalahanin natin tong verification checklist because these 5 things are what helps us become fact checkers and upstanders. Pag wala nang check yung isa, wag na natin i-share. Pag wala nang check yung isa, report na natin sa Facebook. Because this is our way to become upstanders and this is our way to stand up for what is true and what is right. So remember to please check the origin, the source, the date, location, and of course the objectives. Woohoo. So now, at the end of the day, remember to verify the stories you read or view. Remember to verify the news that you read or view. Because if we share this and if it's false, then we are contributing to the misinformation or the false news spreading of something that's not supposed to be spread. If you see this, like what I said, you could do your part in reporting. Just click on the post and look at the click down the option on the top right corner of the post. It may be an arrow or the three dots, then choose the find support or report post, then click false information. False information is already defined by the community standards of Facebook. So make sure you check it out as well para masigurado natin na i-report talaga natin is false information. On Facebook, we actually have ways to understand and to visually see if what you're reading or the content that you are checking is already reported and is verified as false information because they've introduced more visual labels for misinformation. You would see these types of warnings if it is false information, and if you click on it, you'll find out why. You'll be able to check on all of these on the community standards of Facebook. At the end of the day, we're all doing this because we want to be upstanders for other people online. And as upstanders, and especially as teachers, we don't want to contribute to the worsening environment online where there is false information everywhere. So remember the verification process na hindi na lamang ang mga news agencies, news organizations ang gumagawa ngayon. Tayo na mismo ang gumagawa nito. Remember the 5-step verification process. Check out the origin, source, date, location, and objective. Hindi pwedeng may check yung isa, tapos yung the rest wala, tapos you think it's already true. Remember that all the steps should be checked before sharing it to other people. Now, when you are confronted with false information, you don't just ignore it. Well, it says here you can ignore it, but I encourage you don't just ignore it. You report it to Facebook. Don't like, don't share. You report it. So yan po ang ating discussion on digital engagement. We saw how we could be responsible digital citizens by making sure that we have the ability and the capacity to do so by knowing boundaries, showing empathy, and of course showing respect. We become upstanders by practicing all of this, but we become more of an upstanders if we do something about negative interactions online. And one of the negative interactions that we see and acknowledge that is happening online is the spread of false information. So upstanders, alalahanin natin na meron tayong kapangyarihan to do something. Now, this power is also something that we could use to spread positive information to other people. So kung kanina pinapag-usapan natin, nakaslouch pala ako. Kung kanina napapag-usapan natin how we could become upstanders by removing false information online. Now, in empowerment, let's talk about how we could spread positive information online. Ngayon sigurado ako bilang mga guro nakagamit na tayo ng Facebook groups, baka iba sa atin gumamit na ng Facebook page to share information to our students in regards to our lessons. But here in our topic on digital empowerment, we'd like to answer the following questions. Number one, ano ba yung advocacy and how we could use this in our us as teachers, and what are the key components to start an advocacy. Posible yung iba sa inyo alam na may advocacy sila. Posible rin yung iba sa inyo na may advocacies pero hindi nila alam na advocacy pala yon. And posible sa inyo naghahanap na talaga ng advocacies. Because as teachers, I know that you have the ability to spread positive information online and in many different ways. For example, yung mga science teachers, baka climate change ang advocacy. Yung mga history teachers, baka against historical revisionism ang advocacies nila. Baka sa mga math teachers, accurate, I don't know, I can't think of an advocacy for math teachers, sorry. Baka for English teachers, communication and advocacies nila. So each of us has different advocacies, and I know that we can use this in order to become upstanders, not only that we learned how we could remove false information, but to become upstanders to spread good information. But the question is, ano nga ba ang advocacy? Ano nga ba ang advocacy? Well, advocacies are something that each and every one of us has the capacity to spread. And advocacies is basically defined as the desire to stick up for what you believe in and create positive change. The desire to stick up for what you believe in and create positive change. In these kinds of situation or in different kinds of situation, we often feel like things might be better if we were able to change what bothers us. This desire to stick up for what we believe in and create change is called advocacy. Advocacy means taking action to create change. Advocates organize themselves to take steps to tackle an issue. They help to give people ways to speak out about something that is negatively affecting them. So kayo mga guro, may advocacy ba kayo? So before answering that, maybe we could have a quick activity. Just answer if you think this statement is a myth or a true or truth. So type down myth if you think the statement is a myth. Type down truth if you think the statement is truth. So advocacy is only for professionals. Is this a myth or is this truth? Type down on the chat function if this is a myth or a truth. All those on Facebook Live, you may join us by typing down myth or truth as well. Ayan. Sa Facebook Live rin po natin, may mga nagtatype na ng kanilang mga sagot. And so far, nawala yung Facebook Live natin. And so far, what I am seeing, mukhang majority naman po sa atin ang nagsagot ng myth. So this is a myth because advocacies is for anyone who wants to start a positive change. Now, punta naman tayo sa susunod na question natin or susunod na statement natin. Advocacy is only about politics. Is this a myth or is this truth? Is this myth or truth? Okay, 33 na po ang sumasagot sa ating Facebook o sa Zoom natin. Dito sa Facebook Live, a little bit, ayan, sumasagot na rin sila. So, lahat naman sagot natin is myth and of course, ang tamang sagot ay myth. Because advocacy cover a wide range of issues about issues you care about. So, kanya-kanya advocacies yan. Hindi yan tungkol sa politiko lamang. So, because every time you speak up for yourself or others, you are advocating for something. So, I'd like to know, dear teachers, meron na ba kayong mga advocacies? If you do, kindly share them on the chat function. What is your advocacy? What is your advocacy? Type po natin sa chat function. If wala kayong advocacy, no problem. Kaya nga po tayo nandito para makita kung ano yung pwedeng mga advocacies na pwede natin i-spread. So again, we're doing this to become more of an upstander na hindi lamang limited sa pag-aalis ng false information, but also to spread good information to other people. So kita po natin sa Zoom, mukhang wala pang nag-type ng kanilang mga advocacies. But here on Facebook Live, we have positive learning as an advocacy. Okay, there you go. Positive learning pa lang nakikita natin advocacies. Meron rin tayo dito sa Facebook Live, my advocacy is to spread awareness that art is relevant in making our lives better. Thank you so much. More advocacies coming on Facebook Live, care for environment, helping others by sharing our skills and competency for free. mental health here on Zoom, cat care, stop corruption in schools, spread love to coworkers, be a civil servant, breastfeeding, wow. Character building and nation building, lifelong learning and teacher empowerment, environmental wellness amidst VUCA world, um, fight disinformation and misinformation, like teaching at ELS program, Responsible Digital Citizens. Bigyan naman natin ang isa't isa ng round of applause for sharing with us your advocacies. And of course, para sa mga hindi pa nakapag-share na advocacies or wala pang advocacies, no worries. Again, for as long as you speak up or you are, sabi nga ni Kirkpatrick, for as long as you are reasonably disturbed and awake, you can do something about it. So let's speak up. So the question is, why do we care about all this? Ang dami-dami natin problema pero iniisip pa natin itong mga advocacies natin. Bakit nga ba tayo may advocacies and why should we encourage others to have advocacies as well? Well, if you believe in something or someone and you feel that the world at large pays too little attention about it, it may be up to you to change the equation. We should care about other people who does not have a voice by being their voice. To the power of advocacy, we can make a difference and contribute towards a better society. Some of the examples of those with advocacies are Project Smile, Chris, Streets for Schools, at marami-marami pa tayong mga advocates dyan na tumutulong para sa mga maralita, para sa mga walang boses, at para sa mga gusto ng pagbabago sa ating mundo. So kayo mismo, I challenge you to deepen your advocacies. For those that doesn't have advocacies yet, think about one issue in your community that you are passionate about and change that you want to happen. You don't have to do it right now. Siyempre, masyado tayo maraming oras or masyado tayong konting oras para dito. Pero if you don't have an advocacy yet, think about that one thing. That one thing that disturbs you or that's one thing that one reason you wake up in the morning. That one issue in your community that you are passionate about and think about something that you could do to change it. And for those who are already advocates, nakakatuwa actually. Nakakatuwa ang daming advocates dito. At para sa mga advocates na, think about what you could do about it. Think deep and long about how you could do something about your advocacies. Because you can. Because you are responsible. And you could use social media because you are responsible digital citizens. So remember, as advocates, we care about these things. As advocates, we shouldn't just care, but we should take action to create positive change. Every time you speak up for others or yourselves, that's already promoting your advocacy. As advocates, as upstanders, as responsible digital citizens, we should care about other people who does not have a voice by being their voices. To the power of advocacy, we can make a difference and contribute towards a better society. Mapa sa school man yan, mapa sa barangay man natin yan, mapa sa national level man yan, baka naman sa ating mga pamilya yan. For as long as you do something, you speak up about something, as long as you create a positive change, you are an advocate. And I'm sure, dear teachers, you are already an advocate for your students. Kaya nga ako natutuwa na advocates pa kayo sa maraming mga bagay pa, hindi lamang sa inyong mga estudyante. So we want to help you. We want you to be equipped with the right tools, with the right components to start an advocacy. Ngayon, disturbed ka na, reasonably disturbed ka na, morally awake ka na, alam mo na kung ano yung gusto mong paglaban, ipatuloy natin to at alamin natin ano may mga key components to promote or to start an advocacy. Let's look at it. Build your advocacy network. Raise awareness. Use the power of hashtags. So, isa-isahin po natin to. And of course, let's build our advocacy by starting with building your advocacy network. Sabi nila, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Oo, madaling mag-travel mag-isa. Mas masayang, mas mabilis tayo makakagala pag tayo lang mag-isang nagpaplano. Pero syempre, kung gusto natin lumayo, pumunta sa mga malalayong mga lugar ng Pilipinas, syempre kasama natin ang ibang tao. Yes, uso ngayon ang solo backpacking. Pero kahit yung mga solo backpacking ngayon, nagjo-joiners sila. May mga kasama sila. So let's look for people who could be part of our advocacies or who are already advocates. Kita ko dito sa chat function at dito sa Facebook Live, meron kayong mga co-teachers na kakaparehas ang gustong mangyari. So it's already a start. So you could build your advocacy network by, of course, using social media. By sharing your advocacy efforts online, you can tell other people what you care about and potentially meet new people who may be able to assist your efforts. Hindi nyo naman kailangan gumawa ng Facebook page dito. Hindi nyo kailangan gumawa ng separate Facebook profile para dito. You could be advocates for your own on your own social media pages for as long as it is within your boundaries, katulad na sinabi natin kanina. So remember that having a good network or having this um, place to spread information about your advocacies, to spread good information about your advocacies, will help you build your network. And when you have a good network, they can allow you to connect or to contact or to widen the people who wants to achieve the same goals. So, pwede kayong mag-search online. This is an activity, but again, because of the lack of time, hindi ko na siya masyadong bibigyan ng oras. You could search online for people who write blogs, make digital media content about issues you identified, and then connect with them. I do this on LinkedIn. Mahilig ako mag-post ng advocacies ko sa LinkedIn. And people connect with me who have the similar advocacies, who have similar feelings, and we collaborate. And because of this, we are able to connect to more people, and we are able to spread our advocacies to more people and connect with more people who believes in this as well. And when we do this, we can raise awareness through social media. So kanina nagbe-build pa lang tayo ng ating mga networks. Ngayon na meron na tayong network, may mga kilala na tayong makakatulong sa atin, kailangan naman natin bigyan ng pagkakataon na ipakilala sa ibang tao ang ating advokasya by raising awareness through social media. When engaging in advocacy efforts, media of all sorts can be a powerful tool for achieving your goals. And you want to take note of the following. 4 tips to use social media to drive social media change. Focus. Alamin natin, pag magpo-post ako, ano ba ang gusto kong goal? Ano ba ang gusto kong abutin? For example, gusto lang natin magbigay ng awareness. For example, gusto natin mag-engage. For example, gusto natin makakuha ng donation. So remember or understand your focus. Next, get attention. Ang ingay na ng social media, marami nang may mga advocacies, and we have to make sure that we stand out from the rest. Make sure that your words, your images, your videos, your everything is eye-catching. And of course, to get attention, you have to engage as well. Make people connect with your goals, support your advocacies, and of course, spark conversations, spark dialogues. And you can all do this in social media. And lastly, take action. Katulad ng ginagawa ng digital tayo ng AHA, they still use social media to spread information. They still use social media to put forward their advocacies. But they also empower people like you, our dear teachers, to do more, to spread this advocacy as well. And we When we take action, we help other people become advocates as well, and mas lumalawak na ang ating network. Some examples or one example of these tips being used is in the following slide. This is Project Smile. Kita naman natin na gumamit sila ng mga mga elements na binigay natin kanina. Yung nagbigay sila ng focus, getting attention, engage, and taking action. And actually, there's more later on which I will share with you in a while. Ngayon, when raising awareness, the challenge here is to explore ideas on what images or videos or other content formats that will go well with your messages. Sometimes video, sometimes photo, baka yung iba, infographics. So, hindi naman natin kailangan maging social media personality para magpalaganap ng ating mga advocacies. We just have to make sure how to use and we have to make sure that we stand out online. And the way to stand out online is, of course, by using the power of hashtags. The power of hashtag is a way for us to connect with other people who are advocates as well of what we are advocating for. Pwede tayo maging specific, katulad ng piso para sa laptop, or pwede tayo maging more general, katulad ng hat trick. Iba't ibang paggamit ng social media. For example, itong piso para sa laptop. This was used by Filipino students who needed funding to buy a laptop during the first part of the pandemic. So, itong mga Filipino students use this hashtag to ensure that they weren't left behind when the country shifted to distance learning. So, what they did is they asked 1 peso and they told their audience that this 1 peso could bring students closer to a laptop. And of course, this was used to raise money for students in need. Na kunwaring hashtag hat trick, kung gusto mo magpapansin sa ibang tao or gusto mo mapansin sa ibang tao na na nasa football field or football profession, use the hashtag hattrick. This is a description for the video to allow other people looking for football videos to see. This would increase the chances of people in the profession to see your videos and read what you have to share. And meron rin tayong hashtag umbrella revolution. This was used in Hong Kong to coordinate, what do you call this? To coordinate, what do you call this? The revolution that happened then. The umbrella revolution hashtag was used during, not really revolution, democratic protest rather, in 2014 in Hong Kong. So marami-rami tayong pwedeng gamitin na hashtag. Marami-rami din tayong pwedeng gawin sa hashtag natin. We could go very general, like the hashtag hat trick, or we could go specific, or we could mix both general and specific para mas marami yung audience natin. Now, marami tayong iba't ibang hashtags. Maybe I'd like to ask, kayo ba? Nakagamit na ba kayo or gumagamit ba kayo ng hashtags in your social media post? Can you share with the chat function or maybe you could share on Facebook Live? What hashtags have you been using? What hashtags have you been using? Kunwari sa akin, hashtag laban lang. Kayo ba? Anong hashtag ang gamit ninyo? Again, share it on social media. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag sabi ni mama. Hashtag sulong edukalidad. Hashtag padayon. Hashtag spread love. Nice. Yes, Mike. You could use hashtag as well to retrieve your previous post. Kunwari itong hashtag na piso para sa laptop. Kung gusto mo siya i-archive, you could just type in hashtag piso para sa laptop and check yung mga posts tungkol dito. Hashtag angat buhay, hashtag laban, hashtag character matters, hashtag net25, hashtag pitibing, hashtag magaganda, hashtag make it historic, and so on and so forth. Maraming salamat for sharing your hashtag with us. But let's just, for those who have not or have no idea what hashtags are, let me just share with you that hashtag is just simply a keyword or phrase spelled out without spaces with a pound sign in front of it. So as simple as that. Hashtag is something that we could use to identify our advocacies. For example, ito. Marami na kayong shinare. Ito ang mga samples natin. Hashtag babae ako. Hashtag human rights. Hashtag better Philippines. Hashtag education for all. Hashtag disability awareness. Hashtag go green. Hashtag children's right. Hashtag save the turtle. Hashtag autism speaks. At makikita rin natin kung sino-sino or ilan yung mga nagpo-post dito. And when we search this on Facebook, we will see as well who post or what are the posts about. So let's look at it now. Let's look at it moving forward. At the end of the day, using hashtag is important for us to connect with other people and of course to promote our advocacies. So when you already establish what your advocacies are and how you would spread the word about your advocacies, try to think about three related hashtags about your advocacies and try to search on Facebook available contents in regards to these hashtags. And tingnan natin paano tayo kukuha ng inspiration mula sa kanila. And building your network or building your communities who are advocates as well, make sure you look for people with the same goal or advocacies so that you can make a greater impact. At the end of the day, tayo-tayo naman ay lahat upstanders. At tayo-tayo ay may magagawa para sa ating kinabukasan. We have to make sure that we raise awareness through social media by focusing on a goal, by grabbing attention, by engaging the people and making sure to take action. And to do this, we could use hashtag to allow people to get their attention, to allow ideas and to connect with other people. At the end of the day, lahat naman tong napag-usapan natin sa ilang oras na magkakasama tayo. It's all about action. It's all about taking action. It's about making sure we take steps in order for us to become responsible digital citizens by creating boundaries, being empathetic, and showing respect. It is also about us becoming upstanders by knowing the difference about things that are generally accepted, generally not accepted, and some things that we have to think about. And when we see negative information, negative interactions online, we have to become upstanders, not just for ourselves, but other people as well, especially for false information, especially for information that we don't want to see online. Nakita na naman natin kung paano to through the verification checklist. And as we can become upstanders against false information, we can become upstanders by spreading out our advocacies. Because we can. And because we have the voice. So sa dulo ng lahat na to, kaya naman po natin to pinapag-usapan. Kasi syempre, lahat naman tayo may kakayahan at may kapangyarihan para maging digital citizens. At hindi lang pwede tayo maging digital citizens. Dapat tayo ay responsible digital citizens. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Of course, this have been a very interactive session. Please do take care and of course, laban lang.
Thank you so much, Sir Raf, for the informative lecture. And I can assure that everyone in this webinar is digitally engaged and empowered as responsible users of technology. Before we conclude this event, let's take this moment to award the Certificate of Appreciation to Mr. Rafael Lopez in grateful recognition as resource person for the webinar entitled Digital Engagement and Empowerment of the Cyber Safe Learning for Education project given this first day of June 2022. signed by Maria Lourdes P. Aquilizan, Director 3 of the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau. Again, let us give a heart reaction to our resource person, Mr. Rafael Lopez. We're about to end the program. I would like to call Miss Eileen Parado for the Digital Learners Project, of the Digital Learners Project for her closing remarks. Let us all give her a clap emoji.
Thank you, Miss Callie. Hi, everyone. I hope you had a great time learning today. First of all, on behalf of the DICT-ILCDB, I would like to thank you all for joining us in this webinar. Thank you to Digital Learners Project team for all the preparations for this. Thank you to our dear trainer, Sir Raf Lopez, for sharing all your knowledge on digital engagement and empowerment. And of course, thank you Facebook Digital Tayo and AHA Behavioral Designs for making this webinar possible. To all of you who joined us today, I hope that you learned a lot from Sir Raf. It was really a very interactive webinar. I see a lot of participants were very active sa Zoom and Facebook. Thank you so much po. And let's keep in mind yung mga sinabi ni Sir na show respect, show consideration with other people's feelings while we are online. And also let us show empathy. Let us all be a responsible digital citizen. And at the same time, let's all be mindful of what are the right information online. Okay, so from us, the DICT, we look forward to all of you being digitally empowered and have a healthy behavior online. Okay, again, on behalf of the Digital Learners Project, maraming salamat po for being part of this webinar. Back to you, Miss Callie.
All right, we hope everyone has gained new information from our resource person today. Again, on behalf of the Digital Learners Project of the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau of the Department of Information and Communications Technology, we thank everyone who has attended this webinar. This is Cali Bermillo, now signing off. Have a great day, everyone, and see you at at our next webinars.